damage.
And they will subject these kids to these awful, awful treatments that in the past have ranged from electroshock therapy to nausea-inducing drugs that now are primarily talk therapy. Even when you take the electroshock therapy out of it, they result in substance abuse, they result in depression and anxiety, and a lot of the times they result in suicide, and we have lost way too many of our survivors along the way because of it.
What's up there, YouTubers? This is the Flying Brick, and I'm coming at you fast, but this is going on Andy's political talks again, because fuck this fucking bullshit and everything about it. Recently, there's a bill introduced in California, and the author who wrote the bill is gay, and then he retracted the bill because he needs to find common ground. Everyone's like, yeah, common ground's a good idea, right? Well, let me tell you what the subject of the bill was and why I'm so pissed off and just absolutely disgusted right now. And I've talked about this before. I've talked about Democrats with no spine. And of course, the people who know me know that I am not a Republican and I really don't care for the Democratic Party that much. But I'm not any fucking political party either because I'm pretty much disgusted with them. But if you ask me how I vote, I usually vote the one group that won't fuck us over in our rights, and you can probably guess who that is. Unfortunately, they seem to have no goddamn fucking spine, and this is a perfect example of it. Evan Lowe is the person in question. He put the bill forth. It was a California bill called Bill 2943 or 2943. And so what this assembly member was going to do was it was supposed to classify a form of child abuse and torture as well as adult abuse too, because adults can get into this situation of basically just fraud. And it would be treated as fraud, and anyone who does it would be committing fraud, especially if they take money for it. And it was great. Everyone was excited. We're all happy. So the thing that was going to be called fraud is this torture for children, especially children who are tortured in it, is called conversion therapy. Immediately, I'm pretty sure a few of you are just like, well, that's their religious right. Well, here's my thing. First, I'm a victim of this. And I have still physical scars on my fucking legs and genitalia for where they put the electrodes on me and try to shock me straight. Second, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. If you think for 1 second that gay people and children, especially gay children, should have to survive this fucking torture because of their stupid-ass parents and their stupid-ass communities, click that unsubscribe button, get the fuck out. I could give a shit less. This is the one thing that I will stand so strongly against that I will tell people to their face to go take a fucking flying leap off a goddamn cliff and survive, and then try to survive the rest of your life being completely unable to function. Don't die. No, survive so you can suffer like the victims of this shit.
My mom read the Exodus books. And when she found out that I was gay, she said it was worse than my dad dying of leukemia, and she wanted to drive her car off a cliff because she had been convinced that she did something wrong that made me gay. And Exodus taught that for years, years and years and years.
Here's a thing to tell you guys. I have PTSD from 2 locations. 2 things. The first was from when I was a child and I was forced into ExGay therapy. And the second is from being overseas in combat. Guess which one affects me more still to this day, actually? The torture I received as a child.
A place where the Christian pastor in charge told our ABC News undercover investigators that with a Bible and sometimes a belt, he knows how to deal with teenagers who consider themselves gay and requires parents to give written permission so he can strike their children if they act up. Under Alabama's religious freedom law, there is no requirement for this place to be licensed or supervised because it is considered part of a Christian ministry.
Yeah, the shit I've dealt with when I was overseas really fucked me up, and still to this day, I have night terrors almost constantly. But when I don't have night terrors about being over in fucking Fallujah, guess what I have night terrors of? Of when I was tortured, threatened with rape, told how useless of a human being I was for 3.5 fucking weeks, and watching a person that I actually fell in love with at this camp, watching his body dangle from the fucking pipes in the bathroom with the puke-stained fucking sweater they gave him because his clothes that he brought were too effeminate, even though they were just fucking dress shirts. Oh, but Brick, It's not all bad. There's people who benefited greatly from... No, there's not. Those people are either A, lying to you, or lying to themselves, or B, fucking so delusional and self-fucking repressed that they can't even form cognitive thoughts. That's these kind of people. And anyone that says, oh, I came out of the homosexual lifestyle, they're full of fucking shit.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. We preach reconciliation.
You know what happens to all these little motherfuckers is they all turn around and come out of the closet later on and say, oh, we're so sorry we were fucking, publicity hounds for this horrible torture, and we're so sorry that thousands of people committed suicide after they couldn't cut the mustard and be right with Jesus. No, fuck those people. They should be fucking hung in a gallows for the death that they caused to innocent people. They're not only traitors, but they're fucking murderers and maniacs.
It would still be another 22 years before I could get out of that life. I'm determined to let gays and lesbians know that who are in that life, there is hope and that you can get out of it. It's misery. It will lead to a dead end. Nothing is worth an eternity apart from Christ, or not even having a relationship with God.
So no, we are not born gay. We are created that way by adults. Thank you very much, adults.
This is our journey. We get to choose how to respond to same-sex attraction. We get to choose what to call ourselves and what to identify and how to live our lives. And I respect the right of gays to do that as well, but don't take it away from us.
If we can put someone in jail and execute them for rape, we should be able to execute them for this shit too. That's how disgusted and vile my hatred is for these individuals. Not just because of what they did to me, but what they still continue to do against innocent people. So, this is a message for you, Evan Lowe, you fucking traitor, piece of shit, spineless shithole fucker. Wait until the next election, when you get fucking defeated by a real person, gay or straight, who will stand firm with gay people, with the LGBT community, and with children against this horrible fucking torture, this horrible fucking abuse. This complete and utter bastardization of fucking faith to support child molesters, pedophiles, and bigots. I did mention, I should emphasize, when I couldn't take it any longer, I was threatened with rape. I was told that if I said anything to the cops who are there to investigate the suicide, that I would know what it means to be a real faggot. That's what goes on in these fucking little shitholes. So next time you hear anything about conversion therapy, just remember what Brick told you. It's torture, it's abuse, and it's fucking evil. And anyone supports it, even in the slightest fucking bit, has blood on their hands. I came out of that place fucked up beyond repair, and I'm still reeling from it. If you can't tell from my fucking tone of voice. And the thing is I'm still as friggin' gay or fucking gay as I was when I went in. Didn't do anything. All it did was fuck me up like it does everyone else. Oh, and by the way, if you think these things work at all, how is Exodus International doing as a business? Oh, that's right. Alan Chambers closed the doors and made a big apology letter after all the people who died in his fucking hands, saying, yeah, ExGay therapy doesn't work.
You can always prey on the vulnerable. There will always be vulnerable people. That's what cult leaders do.
I personally think, Alan, that you've gone through an evolution in your thinking, but that's not going to mean a whole lot unless you figure out some way to get that message to the rest of Exodus.
What about, what was it, Love One Out? Oh, that guy, that's right. He shut his doors and now he's married to a man. So anyways, to go more into the story, not just my opinion here, or I guess stating the facts, but also my very bitter opinion as well. Lowe goes on to say that we need to find common ground. That right there, done. You completely lost me. You were a fucking traitor. So yeah, this is a little harsh to my viewers out there. And you know what? Fine. I don't fucking care. This to me is the single most issue that I refuse to at all see another side, because I was that other side and I almost died. And I spent years wanting to die because of this shit. Years and years of trying to figure out who I was because of this torture. And living with the scars of having to see my first dead body at the fucking age of 12 and a half. For a friend that I cared deeply for. Because he saw no escape but death. Yeah, if you want to know if there's common ground, talk to the real victims of ExGay therapy.
Opening up is a really difficult thing to do because I really have to put a face on that isn't me. I have to hide behind that mask again of, oh no, I'm not gay. I have to hide behind the mask of, not being able to express who I am, and it hurts. I had a session, I had to go in, I had to admit everything. I had to basically come out to my group leader, my teacher, and let my house father know what was going on. It was probably the most humiliating moment for me. It was the scariest thing in the world because you go in there, if I touched the door, they were just like, 2 push-ups now. They were like, well, you're in big trouble, And I was so scared. My nervous reaction is to go like this a lot, I fiddle with my fingers. And Craig, my group leader, was like slapping my hands. She's like, get your hands away. Get your hands away. Look at him straight. Tell me what happened. Get your hands away. I kept doing that, as a nervous reaction. They were just like, stop that. 2 more push-ups. 2 more push-ups. Get your hands away. I'm afraid of, there's recordings in this room. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely afraid.
Yeah. We then went into the month of hell. The month of hell consisted of tiny needles being stuck into my fingers, and then pictures of explicit acts between men would be shown, and I'd be electrocuted. At this point, I was completely done. God did not want me on this earth anymore. So we lived on a 3-story building. I told my sister goodbye, and I walked to the roof. So my mom finds me up on the roof, says, she will love me again if I will just change.
Both the ones who didn't have it that bad and the ones like me who fucking had it really bad, where they used fucking electric shocks on us to make us straight. Imagine what it's like to be a 12-year-old, to have someone fondle you, hook electrodes up to your fucking genitals, then start showing you pictures of gay sex, and start telling you, well, every time you look at these pictures, if you see on this little box the light turns red, you have a choice. You could either be right with Jesus, or you could burn in hell for all eternity. That's your choice.
Gay conversion therapy was actually mainstream medical practice in the middle of the 20th century. The practices that Jewish groups, Muslim groups, Buddhist groups, Hindu groups engaged in were all very similar. We found that many of the organisations have actually just gone underground. They've changed their names, they don't identify as doing conversion therapy. Far from going away, it's actually expanding.
It's fucking horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. And I'm super disgusted with this spineless fucking Democrat. And I'm going to call him out for that. The one thing I can give to Republicans, and I give you this, hardcore give this to you guys, is that you are so steadfast in your friggin' stances, as wrong as they can be in a lot of cases. And sometimes not wrong at all, but in a lot of cases, you are so steadfast and staunchly in support that you will go to death for it.
I believe people who choose to engage in homosexual sin also have the right to choose not to engage in homosexuality, and they have the choice to seek therapy for their unnatural and unwanted desires.
It is such a shame that I have yet to see a Democrat like that to this day. At least in my lifetime. Hey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they are, but you know what? I haven't fucking seen it. And this is why so many people in my age group, and the millennials, the 30-year-olds, they don't fucking vote because they see shitholes like this, who they voted for, they wasted their fucking vote on, just completely and utterly turn their backs and backstab us. There's an old saying that says, the gay TM is closed, bitch. Well, that's definitely true for this motherfucker. He had all the support in the whole world for it. The governor was going to sign it, everything. But you know what happened? No, this little piece of shit probably got paid off by the fucking churches in his area. Or he was afraid he might not get the vote from his own community because, Christian. Who fucking knows? But what he did do as a gay person is backstab his own community. The community that actually got him that fucking position in the first place. And I hope he fucking burns for it. I can't wait to see this asshole fucking lose hardcore in his next election. Oh, and for those out there who are wondering, he's also really fucking anti-gun too. So double fuck him. But anyways, yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of the letters, he said that he received a lot of letters from the religious community about it. All the letters are basically fucking red herrings saying, oh, it's going to ban evangelical Christianity, it's going to ban Christianity, it's going to ban our ability to preach and practice our religion as we see fit. I'm sorry, but if your religion requires you to torture children because they happen to be born differently than you, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. Grow up. No, don't even grow up. Just go fucking away. Just slink back in the fucking corner, you fucking bigot. When we look fucking 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're going to look back at this kind of shit and just shake our heads in shame. Like we do with the fucking racists of the past. You know, the ones that are super segregationist? Yeah, now we look back and shake our heads where you can't even fucking say words, even in proper context, without fear of losing your job or everything else. You know, but it's perfectly fine to have this double standard where you can say the words fag, faggot, faggity, faggity, fuck, all fucking day long, and that's perfectly goddamn fine. But if you say, you know, the N-word, even in context, like what happened to Vice President for HRC, you know, talking about a horrible story that really offended her, but she, you know, in proper context said the N-word, oh God, and she got fired for it. You know, where we can censor people's freedom of fucking speech completely when it comes to racism, but this double standard where we can't do the same for gay people. You know, it's just like, well, then either have no fucking censor or fucking censor it all. Make up your fucking mind, but don't fucking be a little flighty on it. Banning this doesn't ban freedom of speech. No, what this bans is a fraudulent torture. If these morons in their fucking pews want to spew their bullshit, by all means, they can spew it. Let them fucking spew it in the open so that people like me can call them out for the evil pieces of shit they are. But when you're actually forcing children into these things where they have no choice, then that's when the fucking law should come down on you. Hardcore. Because this is child abuse. And the parents should also be tried as well. Because they support it. They put their children in this way. And you know the best part is most children who come back from these programs, most of the time that I've seen, talking to a lot of ex-gay survivors, their parents hated them more for wasting their money, their time, and failing to be good little Christians. So yeah, these parents are just as bad as the people doing this. I don't care if they could change down the road. It doesn't matter. As a person who survived homelessness as a young teenager because I couldn't be straight, and having to live sofa to sofa until my friend's family took me in, fuck this shit. No, fuck this shit. This is disgusting, it's fucking evil, and it needs to stop. And it's not going to stop with chicken shits like this asshole here, this fucking pencil neck piece of crap who can't frickin' even hold his own ground when everyone supports him. But hey, I mean, that's what happens when you get money thrown at you by people who have oodles of it, right? So they can buy their next fucking jet that Jesus told them to buy, or their fucking whatever the fuck yacht they have. Well, they're like 13 yachts they collect because Jesus wants them to have on their fucking yacht, and people are dumb enough to buy into that shit.
As I was going home, the Lord, real quickly, he said, Jesse, do you like your plane? Now, you know, I thought that's an odd statement. I said, well, certainly, Lord. He said, do you really like it? And I thought, well, yes, Lord. Then he said this, so that's it? I didn't know how to handle it. I went, what? He said, you're going to let your faith stagnate?
So stupid. Hey, that's it. So if you want to know what ExGay therapy is, to sum it up in a single sentence, ExGay therapy or fraud is literally nothing more than child abuse, torture, and murder. That's it. Either way, guys, this is the Flying Brick tumbling out. Peace the fuck out, as TJ Kirk would say. I don't know, fuck it. Who cares?